That's me. No, I'm Batman, guys. Superman, sorry. You guys know this. What? I thought you knew me. I thought you knew me. Okay, anyway. What was I saying? I was saying something about something. Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Oh, no weekends. No weekends. I'm not working weekends anymore because I'm locked in because I did decent at the Worlds, but I didn't do as well as I could have. So I wanted to lock in the training. Part of the reason why I couldn't train as much is because I was working most weekends, and a lot of the BMX races are on the weekend. Oh, sorry, all big BMX races are on weekends. So me working weekends means I can't race. I can still train, but it's very different. Racing and training are two very different things. So I need to send them an email. They're not going to be very happy. Um, it is. Well, I'm working like 7 days a week right now, which is ridiculous. Also, guys, as always, I'm gonna let you guys know I am streaming on the Red app as well. Even if you don't watch on the Red app, going over and subscribing over there is greatly appreciated. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I'm gonna go after the stream tonight. I'm gonna go back to my VOD from this morning and make a small YouTube video to be posted tomorrow at 7. Yeah, sorry guys. Speaking of, there's a child crying outside my door right now. Can you guys hear it? No, I have my filters. Oh, it's Rowan? Hmm. Very little baby. 2 months old. 2 months old. Wait, testing. Sorry, Rowan. It didn't work. Now we play the part in another life. Wait, ready, guys? Hey, thank you for the follow, Jelly. Testing. Hello, princess. Whoa, 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 whoa. Naughty word. Language, mate. We're reading Harry Potter tonight. There's no swear words in Harry Potter. There's no swear words in the stream. Hey, by the way, the Red app's working. Sweet. How are you, by the way, Jelly? Cool. I guess Jelly's not here anymore. Do you know Jelly, Rowan? Jelly, come back! I was ready. Heck yeah, and it's open all the time now, Rowan. It's open all the time. I'm addicted. See, here's my thinking, right? I'm gonna play Dinkum a lot on stream, but I'm gonna play Our World whenever. Nice. Hi, my name's Sam, and I'm addicted to Power World. It all started when people in my Discord community were talking about making a server, and I didn't think much of it at the time because I thought I'm stronger than that. I'm better than that. So we made a server together, and I just can't stop anymore. It just keeps going forever. I need Power World. Okay, guys, I'm gonna start reading now. Alexa, play nothing. No, Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Silly Alexa. I was not sure we wait. Hey, thank you for the follow, Princess Peach. Oh, whoa, Princess. I don't know why they didn't play. Good night, Jade. Thank you for dropping in for a little bit. I don't think so. Caleb's thingy isn't there. Hi, Alex. It's good to have you in the stream. Welcome in. We'll be reading in about a couple minutes. I'm gonna start reading Harry Potter. We're up to chapter 15 of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Are you a big fan of books, Alex? Wait a minute, Alex. You're the one you struggled to join my Discord server. Nice to see you're in. Hey guys, are you ready? Who's excited? Who's excited? No, you're okay. We're starting now though because the chapter isn't a small one, and I don't want to be here till 10 p.m. reading. I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. There we go, nice and low. Okay, here we go. Wait. Sorry, I need to have a drink of an unnamed drink that is going to sponsor me. Shout out no one. Also, guys, if you see the goal right now in the purple app, we're trying to get Caleb Dinkum. Next goal after getting Caleb Dinkum, we're gonna be getting Sosa a pet ferret. After that, we don't know yet. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Chapter 15, the Quidditch Final. He sent me this, Hermione said, holding out the letter. Harry took it. The parchment was damp, and enormous teardrops had smudged the ink so badly in places that it was very difficult to read. Dear Hermione, we lost. I'm allowed to bring him back to Hogwarts. Execution date to be fixed. Beaky really enjoyed London. I won't forget all the help you gave us, Hagrid. They can't do this, said Harry. They can't. Buckbeak isn't dangerous. Malfoy's dad frightened the committee into it, said Hermione, wiping her eyes. You know what he's like. They're a bunch of doddery old fools and they were scared of him. There'll be an appeal, though. There always is. Only I can't see it being any hope. Nothing will have changed. Yeah, it will, Ron said fiercely. You won't have to do all the work alone this time, Hermione. Come on, I'll help. Oh, Ron. Hermione flung her arms around Ron's neck and broke down completely. Ron, looking quite terrified, patted her very awkwardly on the top of his head. Finally, Hermione drew away. Ron, I'm really, really sorry about Scabbers, she sobbed. Oh, well, he was old, said Ron, looking thoroughly relieved that she had let him go. And he was a bit useless. You never know, Mum and Dad might get me an owl now. The safety measures imposed on the students since Black's second break-in made it impossible for Harry, Ron, and Hermione to go and visit Hagrid in the evenings. Their only chance of talking to him was during Care of Magical Creatures lessons. He seemed numb with shock at the verdict. It's all my fault. Got all tongue-tied. They was all sitting there in black robes and I kept dropping me notes and forgetting all them dates you looked up for me, Hermione. And then Lucius Malfoy stood up, said his bit, and the committee did exactly what he told them. There'll be an appeal, said Ron fiercely. Don't give up, you're working on it. They were walking back to the castle with the rest of the class. Ahead, they could see Malfoy, who was walking with Crabbe and Goyle, and kept looking back, laughing derisively. No good, Ron. It's no good, Ron, said Hagrid sadly as they reached the castle steps. That committee's in Lucius Malfoy's pocket. I'm just going to make sure the rest of Beaky's time is the happiest he's ever had. I owe him that. Hagrid turned round and hurried back to the cabin, his face buried in his handkerchief. Look at him blubber. Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle had been standing just inside the castle doors listening. Have you ever heard of anything such as quite as pathetic? Said Malfoy. And he's supposed to be our teacher. Harry and Ron made furious moves towards Malfoy, but Hermione got there first. Smack! She slapped Malfoy around the face with all her strength she could muster. Malfoy staggered. Harry, Ron, Crabbe, and Goyle stood flabbergasted as Hermione raised her wand again. Don't you dare call Hagrid pathetic! You fool! You evil! Hermione! Ron yelled weakly, and he tried to grab her hand, but she swung it off. Get off, Ron! Hermione pulled out her wand. Malfoy stepped backwards. Crabbe and Goyle looked in for instructions, thoroughly bewildered. Come on, said Malfoy muttered, and the next moment, all three of them had disappeared into the passageway to the dungeons. Hermione! Ron said again, sounding both stunned and impressed. Harry, you better beat him in the finals, Hermione said shrilly. You just better, because I can't stand it if Slytherin win. We're due in charms, said Ron, still goggling at Hermione. We better go. They hurried up the marble staircase toward Professor Flitwick's classroom. You're late, boys, said Professor Flitwick reprovingly as Harry opened the classroom door. Come along quickly, one's out. We're experimenting with cheers charms today. We've already divided into pairs. Harry and Ron hurried to the desk at the back and opened their bags. Ron looked behind him. Where's Hermione gone? Harry looked around too. Hermione hadn't entered the classroom, yet Harry knew she'd been right next to him when he'd opened the door. That's weird, said Harry, staring at Ron. Maybe she went to the bathroom or something. But Hermione didn't turn up all lesson. She could have done a cheering charm on her too, said Ron, as the class left for lunch, all grinning broadly. The cheering charm had just left them with a feeling of great contentment. Hermione wasn't at lunch either. By the time they had finished their apple pie, the after effects of the cheering charms were wearing off, and Harry and Ron had started to get slightly worried. You don't think Malfoy did something to her? Said Ron anxiously as they hurried upstairs towards Gryffindor Tower. They passed the security trolls, gave the fat lady the passage, Flibbert Gibbet, and scrambled through the portrait hole into the common room. Hermione was sitting at a table, fast asleep, her head resting on an open arithmetic book. They went down to sit next to her on either side of her. Harry prodded her awake. What? said Hermione, waking with a start and staring wildly around. "Is it time to go? Which lesson have we got now?" "Divination. But it's not any for another 20 minutes, said Harry. "Hermione, why didn't you come to Charms with us?" "What? Oh no," she squeaked. "I forgot to go to Charms." "But how could you forget?" said Harry. "You were right there till we were outside the classroom." "I don't believe it," Hermione wailed. "Was Professor Flitwick angry?" "Oh, it was Malfoy. I was thinking about him and I lost track of things." "You know what, Hermione?" said Ron, looking down at the enormous arithmetic book Hermione had been using as a pillow. "I reckon you're cracking up. You've been doing too much." "No, I'm not," said Hermione, brushing her hair out of her eyes and staring hopelessly around for a bag. "I just made a mistake, that's all. I'd better go and see Professor Flitwick and say sorry. I'll see you in divination." Hermione joined them at the front door of the ladder to Professor Trelawney's classroom 20 minutes later, looking extremely harassed. "I can't believe I missed cheering charms, and I bet they come up in our exams. Professor Flitwick hinted they might." Together, they climbed the ladder into the dim, stifling tower room. Glowing on every little candle was crystal balls full of pearly white mist. Harry, Ron, and Hermione sat down together at the same rickety table. "I thought we weren't getting exciting crystal balls until next term," Ron muttered, casting a wary eye around for Professor Trelawney in case she was lurking nearby. "Don't complain. This means we've finished palm ministry," Harry muttered back. "I was getting sick of her flinching every time she looked at my hands." "Good day to you," said the familiar misty voice as Professor Trelawney made her usual dramatic entrance out of the shadows. Parvati and Lavender quivered with excitement, their faces lit by the milky glow of the castle ball. "I have decided to introduce the crystal ball a little earlier than I had planned," said Professor Trelawney, seating herself with her back to the fire and gazing around. "The fates have informed me that your examinations in June will concern the orb, and I am anxious to give you sufficient practice." Hermione snorted. "Well, honestly, the fates have informed her. Who sets the exams? She does. What an amazing prediction," she said, not troubling to keep her voice low. It was hard to tell whether Professor Trelawney had heard them, as her face was hidden in shadow. She continued, however, as though she had not. "Crystal gazing is an particularly refined art," he said dreamily. "I do not expect any of you to see when you first peer into the orb's infinite depths. We shall start by practicing the conscious minds and eternal eyes." Ron began to snigger uncontrollably and had to stuff his fist into his mouth to stifle the noise. "So, as it is clear the inner eye of the superconscious, perhaps if we are lucky, some of you will see before the end of class." And so they began. Harry, at least, still felt extremely foolish, staring blankly at the crystal ball, trying to keep his mind empty when thoughts such as, "This is stupid," kept drifting across it. It didn't help that Ron had been breaking into silent giggles and Hermione kept tutting. "Seen anything yet?" Harry asked them with a quarter of an hour. Quiet crystal gazing. "Yeah, there's a burn on this table," said Ron, pointing. "Someone spilled the candle." "This is a waste of time," Hermione hissed. "I could be practicing something useful. I could be catching up on cheering charms." Professor Trelawney rustled past. "Would anyone like help them interpret the shadowy portents within their orb?" she murmured over the clinking of her bangles. "I don't need help," Ron whispered. "It's obvious what this means. There's going to be loads of fog tonight." Both Harry and Hermione burst out laughing. "Now, really," said Professor Trelawney as everyone's heads turned in their directions. Parvati and Lavender were looking scandalized. "You are deserving the clairvoyant vibrations." She approached the table and peered into the crystal ball. Harry felt his heart sinking. He was sure he knew what was coming. "There is something here," said Professor Trelawney, lowering her face to the ball, so that it was reflected twice in her huge glasses. "Something moving. What is it?" Harry prepared to bet everything he owned, including his firebolt, that it wasn't good news, whatever it was, and sure enough, "My dear," Professor Trelawney breathed, gazing up at Harry, "it is here, plainer than ever before. My dear, stalking towards you, growing closer than ever. Oh, for goodness sake, said Hermione loudly. Not that ridiculous Grim again. Professor Trelawney raised her enormous eyes to Hermione's face. Parvati whispered something to Lavender, and they both glared at Hermione too. Professor Trelawney stood up, surveying Hermione with unmistakable anger. I am sorry to say that at the moment you have arrived in my class, my dear, it has been apparent that you do not have the noble art of divination requires. Indeed, I don't remember ever meeting a student whose mind was so helplessly mundane. There was a moment's silence, then, Fine, said Hermione suddenly, getting up and cramming, unfolding the future back into her bag. Fine, she repeated, swinging the bag over her shoulders and almost knocking Ron off the chair. I give up. I'm leaving. And to the whole class's amazement, Hermione strode over the trapdoor, kicked it open, and climbed down the ladder out of sight. It took a few moments for the class to settle down again. Professor Trelawney seemed to have forgotten all about the Grim. She turned abruptly from Harry and Ron's table, breathing rather heavily as she tugged her gauzy shawl more closely. Ooh, said Brett Lavender, suddenly making everyone start. Ooh, Professor Trelawney, I've just remembered. You saw her leaving, didn't you? Didn't you, Professor? Around Easter, one of our number will leave us forever. You said it ages ago, Professor. Professor Trelawney gave a dewy smile. Yes, my dear. I did indeed know that Miss Granger will be leaving us. One hopes, however, that one might mistaken the signs. The inner eye can be a burden, you know. Lavender and Parvati looked deeply impressed and moved over so that Professor Trelawney could join them instead. Some day Hermione's having, Ron muttered to Harry, looking awed. Yeah. Harry glanced into the crystal ball, but saw nothing but swirling white mist. Had Professor Trelawney really seen the Grim again? Would he? The last thing he needed was another near fatal accident, with the Quidditch match drawing near. The Easter holidays were not nearly as relaxing. The third years had never had so much homework. Neville Longbottom seemed to lose his nervous callus, and he was the only one. Call this a holiday? Seamus Finnegan roared at the common room one afternoon. The exams are ages away. What are they playing at? But nobody had as much to do as Hermione. Even without divination, she was taking more subjects than anyone else. She was usually last to leave the common room at night, first to arrive at the library in the morning. She had shadows like lupins under her eyes and seemed constantly close to tears. Ron had taken over responsibility for Buckbeak's appeal. When he wasn't doing his own work, he was poring over enormous thick volumes with names like The Handbook of Hippogriff Psychology and Foul, a study of hippogriff brutality. He was so absorbed, he even forgot to be horrible to Crookshanks. Harry, meanwhile, was to fit in his homework around his Quidditch practice every day, not to mention endless discussions of tactics with Wood. The Gryffindor-Slytherin match would take place on the first Saturday after Easter holidays. Slytherin were leading the tournament by exactly 200 points, which meant, as Wood constantly reminded his team, that they needed to win the match by more than 200 points to win the cup. It also meant that the burden of winning fell largely on Harry, because capturing the snitch was worth 150 points. So you must catch it if we're only 50 points up, Wood told Harry constantly. Only if we're more than 50 points up, Harry, or we win the match but lose the cup. You got that, haven't you? You must catch the snitch if we're... I know, Oliver, yelled Harry. The whole of Gryffindor House was obsessed with the coming match. Gryffindor hadn't won the Quidditch Cup since the legendary Charlie Weasley, Ron's second oldest brother, had been Seeker. But Harry doubted whether any of them, even Wood, wanted to win as much as he did. The enmity between Harry and Malfoy was at its highest than ever. Malfoy was still smarting about the mud-throwing incident in Hogsmeade, and even more furious than Harry had somehow wormed his way out of punishment. Harry hadn't forgotten Malfoy's attempts to sabotage him in the match against Ravenclaw, but it was the matter of Buckbeak that made him most determined to beat Malfoy in front of the entire school. Never, in anyone's memory, had a match approached in such a highly charged atmosphere. By the time the whole holidays were over, tension between the two teams and their houses was at breaking point. A small number of small scuffles broke out in corridors, culminating in nasty incident in which a Gryffindor 4th year and a Slytherin 6th year ended up in the hospital wing with the leaks sprouting out of their ears. Harry was having a particularly bad time of it. He couldn't walk into class without Slytherin sticking out their leg and trying to trip him up. Crabbe and Goyle kept popping up wherever he went and slouching away looking disappointed when he saw him surrounded by people. Wood had given instructions that Harry should be accompanied everywhere, in case the Slytherins tried to put him out of action. The whole of the Gryffindor house took up the challenge enthusiastically, so that it was impossible for Harry to get to classes on time because he was surrounded by a vast chattering crowd. Harry was more concerned for his firebolt than the safety of his own. When he wasn't flying it, he locked it securely in his trunk and frequently dashed back up to the Gryffindor Tower at break time to check that it was still there. All usual pursuits were abandoned in the Gryffindor common room the night before the match. Even Hermione had put her books down. "I can't work, I can't concentrate," she said nervously. There was a great deal of noise. Fred and George Weasley were dealing with the pressure by being louder and more exuberant than ever. Oliver Wood was crouched over a model of a Quidditch pitch in the corner, prodding his little fingers across it with his wand and muttering to himself. Angelina, Alicia, and Kate were laughing at Fred and George's jokes. Harry was sitting with Ron and Hermione, removed from the center of things, trying not to think about the next day. Because every time he did, he had the horrible sensation that something large was fighting to get out of his stomach. "You're going to do fine," Hermione told him, though she looked positively terrifying. "You've got the firebolt," said Ron. "Yeah," said Harry, his stomach writhing. It came as a relief when Wood suddenly stood up and yelled, "Team, bed!" Harry slept badly. First, he dreamed that he had overslept and that Wood was yelling, "Where were you? We had to use Neville instead." Then, he dreamed that Malfoy and the rest of the team arrived for the match riding dragons. He was riding at breakneck speed to avoid a spurt of flames from Malfoy's steed's mouth when he realized he had forgotten his firebolt. He fell through the air and woke up with a start. It was a few seconds before Harry remembered that the match hadn't taken place yet, that he was safe in his bed, and that the Slytherin team wouldn't be allowed to play on dragons. He was feeling very thirsty. As quietly as he could, he got out of bed of his four-poster and went to pour himself some water from the silver jug beneath the window. The ground was still and quiet. No breath of wind disturbed the treetops of the Forbidden Forest. The Whomping Willow was motionless and innocent-looking. It looked as though conditions for the match would be perfect. Harry set down his goblet and was about to turn back to his bed when something caught his eye. An animal of some kind was prowling across the silvery lawn. Harry dashed to his bedside table, snatched up his glasses and put them on, then hurried back to the window. It couldn't be the Grim. Not now. Not right before the match. Harry peered out of the grounds again, and after a minute of frantic searching, spotted it. It was skirting the edge of the forest now. It wasn't the Grim at all. It was a cat. Harry clutched the window ledge in relief as he recognized the bottle-brush tail. It was only Crookshanks. Or was it only Crookshanks? Harry squinted, resting his nose flat against the glass. Crookshanks seemed to have come to a halt. Harry was sure he could see something else moving in the shadows of the trees too. At the next moment, it had emerged, a gigantic shaggy black dog moving stealthily across the lawn, Crookshanks trotting at its side. Harry stared. What did this mean? If Crookshanks could see the dog as well, how could it be an omen of Harry's death? "Ron!" Harry hissed. "Ron, wake up!" "Huh? Need to see. Tell me if you can see something." "It's all dark, Harry," Ron muttered. "What do you want about?" "Down there." Harry looked quickly back at the window. Crookshanks and the dog had vanished. Harry climbed onto the windowsill to look right down into the shadows of the castle, but they weren't there. Where had they gone? A loud snore from Ron told him that he was fast asleep again. Harry and the rest of the Gryffindor team entered the Great Hall the next day to the enormous applause. Harry couldn't help grinning broadly as he saw that both the Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff tables were clapping too. The Slytherins hissed loudly as they passed. Harry noticed that Malfoy looked even paler than usual. Wood spent the whole breakfast urging his team to eat, while touching nothing himself. Then he hurried them off to the pitch before anyone else had finished so that they could have an idea of the conditions. As they left the Great Hall, everyone applauded again. Good luck, Harry, called Cho Chang. Harry felt himself blushing. Okay, no wind to speak of. Sun's bright out. That could impair your vision. Watch out for it. Ground's fairly hard. Good. That'll give us a fast kickoff. Wood paced the pitch, staring around the team behind him. Finally, they saw the front doors of the castle open in the distance, and the rest of the school spilled into the lawn. Changing rooms, said Wood tersely. None of them spoke as they changed into their scarlet robes. Harry wondered if they were feeling like he was, as though he'd eaten something extremely wriggly for breakfast. In what seemed like no time at all, Wood was saying, Okay, it's time to go. Let's go. They walked out into the pitch to a tidal wave of noise. 3/4 of the crowd were wearing scarlet rosés, waving scarlet flags with Gryffindor lions upon them, or brandishing banners with slogans like Go Gryffindor or Lions for the Cup. Behind the Gryffindor goalpost, however, 200 people wearing green. The silver serpent of Gryffindor glittered on their flags, and Professor Snape sat in the very front row wearing green like everyone else, and a very grim smile. And here are the Gryffindors, yelled Lee Jordan, who was acting as commentator as usual. Potter, Bell, Johnson, Spinnet, Weasley, and Wood. Widely acknowledged as the best side Hogwarts has seen in a good few years. Lee's comments were drowned by the tide of boos from the Slytherin's end. And here come the Slytherin team, led by Captain Flint. He's made some changes in the lineup and seems to be going for a rather more boos from the Slytherin crowd. Harry, however. Oh, sorry. And here comes the Slytherin team, led by Captain Flint. He's made some changes in the lineup. Seems to be going for more size rather than skill. More boos from the Slytherin crowd. Harry, however, thought Lee had a point. Malfoy is easily the smallest person on Slytherin's team. The rest of them were enormous. Captains, shake your hands, said Madam Hooch. Flint and Wood approached each other and grasped each other's hands very tightly. It looked as though each was trying to break each other's hands. Mount your brooms, said Madam Hooch. 3, 2, 1. The sound of her whistle was lost in the roar from the crowd as 14 brooms shot into the air. Harry felt his hair flying back off his forehead. His nerves left him in the thrill of the flight. He glanced around, saw Malfoy in his tail, and sped off in search of the snitch. And in Gryffindor in possession, Alicia Spinner of Gryffindor with the quaffle, heading straight for the Slytherin goalpost. Looking good. Alicia! Ah, no! Quaffle intercepted by Warrington. Warrington of Slytherin tearing up to the pitch. Wham! Nice bludger work there by George Weasley. Warrington drops the quaffle. It's caught by Johnson. Gryffindor back in possession now. Come on, Angelina. Nice swerve there from Montague. Duck, Angelina, that's a bludger. She scores 10 points to 0 to Gryffindor. Angelina punched the air as she soared round the end of the pitch. The sea of scarlet below was screaming in delight. Ouch! Angelina was nearly thrown from her broom as Marcus Flint went smashing into her. Sorry, said Flint as the crowd booed. Sorry, didn't see her. Next moment, Fred Weasley had chucked his beater club at the back of Flint's head. Flint's nose smashed into the handle of his broom and began to bleed. That will do, said Madam Hooch, zooming across to them. Penalty to Gryffindor for an unprovoked attack on their chaser. Penalty to Slytherin for deliberate damage to their chaser. Come on, miss, howled Fred, but Madam Hooch blew her whistle and Alicia flew forward to take the penalty. Come on, Alicia, yelled Lee in the silence that had descended on the crowd. She's beaten the keeper, 20-0 to Gryffindor. Harry turned the firebolt sharply to watch Flint, still bleeding freely, fly towards the Slytherin penalty. Wood was hovering in front of the goalpost, his jaw clenched. Of course, Wood's a superb keeper, Lee Jordan told the crowd as Flint waited for Madam Hooch's whistle. Superb. Very difficult pass. Very difficult indeed. Yes, I don't believe it. He's saved it. Relieved, Harry zoomed away, gazing around for the snitch, but still making sure he caught every word of Lee Jordan's commentary. It was essential that he hold Malfoy off the snitch until Gryffindor was more than 50 points up. Gryffindor in possession now. No, Slytherin in possession. No, Gryffindor back into position. And it's Katie Bell. Katie Bell for Gryffindor with the quaffle. She's streaking up the pitch. That was deliberate. Montag, a Slytherin chaser, had swerved in front of Katie, and instead of seizing the quaffle, had grabbed her head. Katie cartwheeled out of the air, managed to stay on her broom, but dropped the quaffle. Madame Hooch's whistle rang out again, and she soared over to Montag and began shouting at him. A minute later, Katie had put another penalty past the Slytherin keeper. 30-0, take that, you dirty cheating! Jordan, if you can't commentate in an unbiased way, I'm telling it like it is, Professor. Harry felt a huge jolt of excitement. He had seen the snitch. It was shimmering a foot of one of the goalposts, but he mustn't catch it yet, and if Malfoy saw it, faking a look of sudden concentration, Harry pulled the firebolt round and sped off towards the Slytherin end. It worked. Malfoy went herring after him, clearly thinking Harry had seen the snitch. Whoosh! One of the bludgers came streaking past Harry's right ear, hit by a gigantic Slytherin beater, Derek. Next moment, whoosh! The second beater had grazed Harry's elbow. The other beater, Bole, was closing in. Harry felt a fleeting glimpse of Bole and Derek zooming towards him, clubs raised. He turned the firebolt upwards at the last second, and Bole and Derek couldn't collide with a sickening crunch. Ha ha! Yelled Jordan as the Slytherin beaters lurched away from each other, clutching their heads. Too bad, boys. You'll need to get up earlier than that to beat a firebolt. And it's Gryffindor in possession again as Johnson takes the quaffle. Flint alongside her. Poke him in the eye, Angelina. It was a joke, Professor. It was a joke. Oh no, Flint's in possession. Flint flying towards Gryffindor goalpost now. Come on, Wood, save! But Flint had scored. There was an eruption of cheers from the Slytherin end, and Lee swore so badly that Professor McGonagall tried to tug the magical megaphone away from him. Sorry, Professor, sorry, won't happen again. So, Gryffindor in the lead, 30 points to 10. Gryffindor in possession. It was turning into the dirtiest match Harry had ever played in. Enraged that the Gryffindor had taken such an early lead, the Slytherins were rapidly resorting to any means to take the quaffle. Bole hit Alicia with his club and tried to say he thought it was a bludger. George Weasley elbowed Bole in the face to retaliation. Madame Hooch awarded both teams penalty, and Wood pulled off another spectacular save, making the score 40 to 10. The snitch had disappeared again. Malfoy was keeping close to Harry as he soared over the match, looking around for it. Once again, Gryffindor were 50 points ahead. Katie scores 50 to 10. Fred and George Weasley were swooping around her, clubs raised, in case any of the Slytherins were thinking of revenge. Bole and Derek took advantage of Fred and George's absence to aim both bludgers at Wood. They caught him in the stomach, one after the other, and he rolled in the air, clutching his broom, completely winded. Madame Hooch was beside herself. You do not attack the keeper unless the quaffle is within scoring area, she shrieked at both Bole and Derek. Gryffindor penalty! And Angelina scored, 60 to 10. Moments later, Fred Weasley pelted a bludger at Warrington, knocking his quaffle out of his hands. Alicia seized it and put it through the Slytherin goal, 70 to 10. The Gryffindor crowd were screaming themselves hoarse. The Gryffindor were 60 points in the lead, and if Harry caught the snitch now, the cup was theirs. Harry could almost feel hundreds of eyes following him as he soared over the pitch, high above the rest of the game with Malfoy speeding behind him. And then he saw it. The snitch was sparkling 10 feet above him. Harry put a large burst of speed, the wind roaring in his ears. He stretched out his hand, but suddenly the firebolt was slowing down. Horrified, he looked around. Malfoy had thrown himself forward, grabbed on the end of the firebolt, and was pulling it back. You! Harry was angry enough to hit Malfoy, but he couldn't reach. Malfoy was panting with the effort on holding the end of the firebolt, but his eyes were sparkling maliciously. He had achieved what he had wanted. The snitch had disappeared again. Penalty! Penalty to Gryffindor! I've never seen such tactics! Madame Hooch screeched, shooting up to where Malfoy was sliding back onto his Nimbus 2001. You cheating scum! Lee Jordan was howling into the megaphone, dancing out of McGonagall's reach. You filthy cheating... But Professor McGonagall didn't even bother to tell him off. She was actually shaking her fist in Malfoy's direction. Her hat had fallen off, and she too was shouting furiously. Alicia took Gryffindor's penalty, but was so angry she missed by several feet. The Gryffindor team was losing concentration, and the Slytherins, delighted by Malfoy's foul on Harry, were being spurred on to greater heights. Slytherin in possession! Slytherin heading for goal! Montag scores! Lee groaned. 70 to 20 to Gryffindor. Harry was now marking Malfoy so closely their knees kept hitting each other. Harry wasn't going to let Malfoy anywhere near the snitch. Get out of it, Potter! Malfoy yelled in frustration as he tried to turn and found Harry blocking him. Angelina gets the quaffles for Gryffindor. Come on, Angelina, come on! Harry looked around. Every single Slytherin player apart from Malfoy even the keeper, was streaking up the pitch towards Angelina. They were going to block her. Harry wheeled the firebolt around, bent so low he was lying flat against the hurdle, and kicked it forwards. Like a bullet, he shot towards the Slytherins. Ah! They scattered as the firebolt zoomed towards them. Angelina's way was clear. She scores! She scores! Gryffindor lead by 80 points to 20. Harry had almost pelted headlong into the stands, skidded to a half halt in midair, reversed and zoomed back up on the pitch. And then he saw something to make his heart still. Malfoy was diving, a triumphant look on his face. There, a few feet above the grass below was a tiny golden shimmer. Harry urged the firebolt downwards, but Malfoy was miles ahead. Go, go, go! Harry urged his broom. They were gaining on Malfoy. Harry flattened himself over the broom handle as Bowles sent a bludger to him. He was at Malfoy's ankles. He was level. Harry threw himself forward, taking both hands off his brooms. He knocked Malfoy's arms out of the way, and yes! He pulled out of his dive, his hand in the air, and the stadium exploded. Harry soared above the crowd, an odd ringing in his ears. The tiny golden ball was holding tight in his fist, beating its wings hopelessly against his fingers. Then, Wood was speeding towards him, half blinded by tears. He seized Harry around the neck and sobbed unrestrained into his shoulder. Harry felt two large thumps as Fred and George hit them. Then Angelina, Alicia, and Katie's voices, "We've won the cup! We've won the cup!" tangled together in a many-armed hug. The Gryffindor team sank, yelling hoarsely back to the earth. Wave upon wave of Crimson supporters was pouring over the barriers into the pitch. Hands were raining down on their backs. Harry had a confused impression of noise and bodies pressing in on him. Then, he and the rest of the team were hoisted onto the shoulders of the crowds, thrust into the light. He saw Hagrid plastered with crimson rosés. "You beat him, Harry! You beat him! Wait till I tell Buckbeak!" There was Percy, jumping up and down like a maniac, all dignity forgotten. Professor McGonagall was sobbing harder even than Wood, wiping her eyes with an enormous Gryffindor flag, and there, fighting their way towards Harry, were Ron and Hermione. Words failed them. They simply beamed as Harry was airborne towards the stand, where Dumbledore stood waiting with the enormous Quidditch cup. If only there hadn't been a Dementor around. As a sobbing Wood passed the cup to Harry as he lifted into the air, Harry felt that he could produce the world's best Patronus. What do we think, guys? How do we feel? It was a crazy chapter. Thanks, guys. I'm really trying to do as many voices as I can, but it's hard because a lot of the voices are female women, and I struggle to get high. Like I was doing it at the beginning, but my throat starts to get sore if I speak high for too long. So it's very hard for me to do a lot of Professor Trelawney. Yeah, that one hurt my throat. I was like, get me out of this class, man. I can't keep doing this. That one hurt. Oh, man. What do we think now? Do we enjoy it? Yes, sir. Whoa, nice. I got so like obsessed with Harry winning But I forgot I'm a Slytherin. But like, I wanted Harry to win because Greg Malfoy, but I'm Slytherin, right? So my team just lost. I'd be like watching the NRL and your team losing, but your brother being on the. It's like if let's say, two teams were versing, and your brother was in one, but the team you've supported win in since you were a kid was the other one. It's like, frick. My brother won, but my team lost. Yes. So I'm Slytherin. Yes. What? What sort of fanfics are you reading? Sure. Sure you were. That's gross. Okay, but hear me out, right? Thank you, Alex. Hear me out, right? How much better in the books is the relationship between Hermione and Ron? Did you see how, like, obviously Ron shouldn't have said what he said, but like Hermione was so happy that they were talking again. It's so nice. I love it because in the movies, as much as I love their relationship, it didn't really. It was like, Harry and Hermione had a lot better chemistry in the movies, but then in the books, it's very obvious who Hermione's gonna end up with. Well, hear me out. The reason it feels awkward, weird, is because a lot of Ron's lines are given to Hermione. So a lot of the stuff Ron says, some of it is to Hermione. Hermione says. So it's like their interactions, even though they're minuscule, get taken away all the time. Exactly, like that little moment there, where he thought Crookshanks had eaten Scabbers. They got in a little tussle, and they got over it, and then they embraced. They cuddled for a little bit. They hugged. Well, it's developing into more than a friendship. Can anybody guess? Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to tell you what book they kiss in first. Spoiler alert, it's earlier. They kiss earlier than. You can. That's your opinion. I think if. Okay, hear me out. Hear me out. They were friends first. Alex, have you ever read the books? Have you ever read the books? Well, you have to admit then, in the books, Ginny and Harry have a lot more chemistry than they do. And it's very clear from the start that Ron and Hermione are very close. Like, I love Ginny in the books, but Ginny in the movie had literally no. She had no personality. She was like a wet cardboard for a character. She's like a cardboard cutout that just got put in wherever she needed to go. She had no personality whatsoever. So it sort of felt forced when they ended up together. When like someone like Cho Chang was there. When Harry had a lot of chemistry with her in the movies. I mean, even in the books, he had a lot of chemistry with her. But in the books, they have a lot more chemistry and they have a lot more nice moments together. And flippin' Ginny is a weapon in the books. Holy, she's a unit. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not how it works. That's not what we got. And it never will be, unfortunately. Unless they, who knows? You could be lucky, Alex. They could rewrite the TV series if it survives more than a season. They could rewrite the TV series and give everyone, like, everyone who wanted Harry and Hermione together. They could give everyone the ending they always wanted, and put Harry and Hermione together in the TV series. But no, they do have a lot more detail. Like, for example, the whole Quidditch thing. Yeah. See, hear me out. Does anybody, show of hands quickly, who here actually like reads on their own? Besides when I do the reading, who here reads pretty regularly on their own? Show of hands. We got Karma, we got me. Is it just me and Karma? Oh, all of you read. Never mind. Rowan, do you read? One more. No, you. So when I read, I think it's just because of how my brain's wired. But when I read, right, nice. I sometimes like my brain starts picturing what's happening in the book so vividly that I'm still reading the page, but it's almost like I can actually see what's happening. Yeah, like I can see it. Like in that game, for example, because I've seen the movies, I was picturing on that Quidditch match, I was picturing all the original actors, and I could see everything that was happening. And I'm just sitting there at moments like when Malfoy grabbed Harry's broom, I'm like, Frank, get off him! I'm like, oh, stop. It's a book. It's a book. Stop it. Oh, it's funny. Man, I love it. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna end the stream here. It's getting late. Let me just quickly check something. I am streaming tomorrow. I'm gonna quickly edit the stream schedule, by the way, guys. I'm gonna go through and edit the stream schedule. Actually, I'll edit the stream schedule now for you guys. I'll edit the stream schedule on stream. Let's see. So we got, it's gonna stay 8 to 11. We got another 8 to 8 a.m. to 11. Yeah, some people can't. I was listening to a podcast about people talking about that and how this guy was saying he has never once in his life. And you know what's crazy, Karma? This guy, he doesn't see anything in his head when he thinks. He also doesn't dream. He can't see things in his dreams either. And he has never once seen anything when he sleeps. Yeah, I don't dream often, Rowan, but when I dream, they are so vivid. I don't dream all the time, but when I do, they're like, I'm like, whoa, I can see everything. Me, I'm a book person. I love all of them, but I'm a book. Yeah, I'm just like, it happens at times where I'm literally, like I've said, I'm reading and I sometimes just can't even. I start like I lock in. Like Abby's the same, and I'm locked in, and then next thing you know, bang. I do. I actually been meaning to start a dream journal. Yeah, I want a lucid dream. Okay, so the Sunday and the Saturday streams are TBD, but we're doing 5. We are doing 5. Hi, Void. What do you mean when you're sober? What the heck? Ah, okay. But yeah, I want to start a dream journal because I noticed every now and then I do at times have the same dreams, but I don't realize I've had repeating dreams until after I wake up. Yeah, I don't realize I've actually done that until after I wake up. Oh, this is now well. Okay. New stream schedule out. We're streaming Monday to Friday. I actually still remember a dream from when I was like years and years ago. There's been a couple of dreams that I just have never forgotten. Um, what kind of dreams? Um, just dreams. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to say. I can't really. That's interesting that you're continuing a story. That's pretty cool though. That's interesting. Oh no, I'll let you guys know. I'll try and keep track of when I dream. That's very interesting. Hmm. Well, a lot of the times, our dreams directly correlate to what's happening in our life. That's why some people are able to, like, dream interpreters are actually a thing. My mum went to one once because she kept having the same dream over and over again. Um, she kept having the same dream over and over again, so she went to someone to interpret her dream. And yeah, and then she finally got figured out what the dream meant, and then she never had that dream again. Mum's dream. It had something to do. I'm not. It was a while ago. It had something to do with a killer whale, an octopus, and some other animal in a small swimming pool, like struggling for space. And pretty much the octopus, the killer whale, and this third animal that I forgot what it was represented different things about certain things that were going on. Um, and she just had, yeah, she kept having the same dream over and over and over again. It wasn't me, it was my mum. Yeah, it's very interesting. And then she went to have somebody help her like figure out what it is, and then she got told what it meant, and then she never had the dream again, which is so strange. Yeah, a lot of the times if you do dream, especially I think it's more prominent when you don't dream as much. Like a lot of people probably don't realize when you dream every single night, you probably don't realize when you're actually dreaming about something that is actually having directly, because a lot of the times your dreams is nonsense. Like I remember some of my dreams for a little bit. I don't remember them now, but I remember them thinking. I remember thinking when I had them, I'm like, damn, this is weird. But I feel like when people who don't have dreams often, a lot of the times when you do dream, they're very, very, they actually mean something. You're dreaming because your brain is trying to get you to do something. That is because your brain. I think falling off a building is your brain trying to get you to wake up, Alex. I think that's what it means because your brain can't figure out your brain can't process dying in its sleep. So its way of trying to get you to wake up is by falling. That's very. I can imagine that for you, Void. If I'm being honest, that's very interesting. See, maybe that's because that might be Sosa because you are just a an observant person, and your brain subconsciously figures out what the signs are before you actually realize it, and then that dream is you realizing who it is, like what's happening. Unlucky Rowan. Yeah, dreams are fascinating. I really want, like I said, that's interesting. I mean, a fear of dying. I feel like everybody, most people anyway, go through that when they have like a fear of dying. I feel like I never did. I think when I was younger, I didn't really understand what it meant, and now I'm just pretty content. Like, gonna happen to us all one day. No point. Dreams are great. I love dreams. But no, I don't I don't care. Death doesn't bother me. Yeah, buddy. I can. Yeah, I've never actually had to experience that. I can't imagine. Yeah. See, my thoughts are: is what's the point being bothered about something that's gonna happen no matter what? Like, what's the point? It's like if I've gotten to the I've gotten to the point where it's like, why do I worry about like what? Why am I fretting over something that isn't going to change regardless? Yeah, they did. And a lot of the times, the twins, they don't actually. So the twin, that whole twin thing, they didn't actually see each other in the dream, but their brain and their memory, as they're telling it to each other, their memory is altering itself to fit the other person in. Just death in general. It's gonna happen anyway. What's the point worrying about it? That's fair. But again, I'm sorry if this gets I'm really sorry if this type of talk makes anyone uncomfortable, but it's going to happen to us all, no matter what. It could happen to me tonight. I could never wake up tomorrow. But I'm not going to worry about that because worrying is not going to change the effect whether I wake up tomorrow. Worrying is probably going to make it worse, actually. I'm going to sleep worse. And I'm going to wake up feeling bad. That's very interesting. That's very cool, actually, Sosa. You don't sleep when you get that thought, so your sleep is getting um. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Void is worrying about something that you can't control is negatively affecting your life. I think I think he's talking about old age.
Do I?
Hmm. You mean whenever? I mean just in general, right? Hey guys, I want to test something. Wait. What am I testing? What am I testing? What am I? I feel like that's the best way, right? Wait, what? Guys, I just realized I'm looking through my stream manager, right? And I found a thing where I can set discounts on my subs. What happens if I click that? Do I have to pay something? Yeah, but Roman, you're already subscribed, mate. Uh, oh, guys. Yes, that's exactly it, Karma. Your subscription ran out a little bit ago. So it's 35%. I can set a promotion. The only promotion I'm allowed to do right now is I can set a 2-day I can set a 2-day discount when people gift 5 subs or more. I can't set it normally, which makes sense. That would be cheating. That would be cheating. But what do you guys do? You reckon I mean, obviously nobody could use it, but I'm able to right now. I am able to right now add a discount for just like adding like a 35% discount just to any subs, but that's only in September. But I'm gonna start a discount now. So for the next 2 days, there is a 35% discount when people gift 5 subs or more. Do you reckon I post that in my announcements channel? I feel like it'd be kind of weird me just like, hey guys, gifts 5 plus or more now 35% off. Do you reckon I post that? I'm gonna do it because it's I think it's only a limited thing. It's only for a limited time. So I'm obviously gonna do it because I don't want to. That's what it's there for. It'd be stupid not to do it. What do you guys think? Do you reckon I posted in my Discord as well? What? Yeah, I mean, obviously, if nobody does it, who cares? But like, I'm gonna post anyway. I'm gonna be boom. That means until. Oh, I get new promos. Oh, it's a thing. I can do. It's like every month I can do different promos. I'm gonna add everyone for this. Everyone. And promo 5. No. Yeah. 35% off. Boom. Bang. Hey guys. That being said, say hi to Basil, guys. Say hi to Basil. Basil doesn't share, guys. Whoa. 30-second ad break. Maybe that 30-second ad breaks because I did the promotion. Maybe that 30-second ad breaks because I did my promotion. Right? Can't imagine that. Okay, guys. It's 10 it's quarter past 10. I need to sleep. I hope you all have a fantastic whatever time of day it is for you guys. Morning. I think it's morning for the Alex. Yes, he always makes me hungry though, Alex. I think it's morning for Alex right now. But I think most of us in the chat right now are from Australia, so I hope you all have a lovely night. I will be live tomorrow at 8 a.m. as usual. I'll try and remember. I'll write it down if I wake up. Write it down if I wake up. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna end the stream in 3, 2, 1. Bye bye.